Good morning, children. Welcome to our next class. In last class, you learned about habitat meaning, adaptations meaning, and you had seen different animals, how they changed, and what adaptations they are showing to survive on planet Earth. You learned. And today's class, we are going to learn about desert habitat. Last class I told you there are two different types of habitats. One is terrestrial habitat, one is aquatic habitat. The habitat on the land known as terrestrial habitat. So there are different types of habitats in terrestrial habitat. So among that one is desert habitat. So in the desert habitat when I ask you to draw a desert, immediately you'll remember the sand and a few plants like cactus and all you'll remember, right? So this is an idea for, this pictures gives you an idea for a desert. And oasis where the water can get stored and very less rainfall and dry conditions can be seen in desert areas. Then the organisms which live in the desert areas, what type of adaptations they'll show. So one of the animal which is very familiar, everybody knows, this is camel. And camel is also called as ship of the desert, you know very well. Why we are calling this as ship of the desert? Yes, because we can travel by using camel for long days in the desert areas. So now in today's class, we'll discuss very clearly what characters making the camel to live happily in desert areas. So you can see here, the camel is having very long legs. So these long legs are helping camel to keep its body away from the heat. So in desert areas, you know very well, the conditions and the climate is very hot. So to avoid this heat, its body is very high from the ground. So that's the one adaptation. And the other adaptation, when you see the legs of the camel, where I am moving the cursor, you please see. Yes. So these legs are padded legs, P-A-D-D-E-D, padded legs we'll call. Flat shape they'll be. You can do an activity here. Take an eraser and insert your pencil in middle of the eraser and hold the pencil. Just try to move on sand. How easily it can move, you see. A padded, flat shaped feet they have, called as padded feet. So due to this padded feet, camel is able to walk in the desert areas without any difficulty. So this is the second character which camel shows. And the third character is camel eyes. When you see the camel eyes, they'll have very long eyelashes. Their eyelashes are very long. Eyelashes, you can compare your eyelashes with camel eyelashes. Our eyelashes are very small, whereas camel eyelashes are very big. How these eyelashes are helping in camel? They are helping to avoid the wind storms. When wind blows very fastly, that wind will not fall into the eyes of camel due to the long eyelashes. It will close the eyes, and eyelashes are helping to avoid the sand to fall into the eyes of camel. So this is the third adaptation which camel shows, and with the help of these characters it is surviving in desert areas. And the third character is, people say that there is a myth in our society, misunderstanding, that camel can drink water only once and it has a bag in its stomach. It will store the water in its stomach. That's why it can travel so long distance. People feel that. That's a misunderstanding. Actually, the camel doesn't have any bag in its stomach. It will not store any water in the bag. Only it can store the fat. It stores the fat in its hump. So the area which is back of the camel body, where the raisin part can be seen in the picture, where I am moving my cursor, this is the raisin part in camel. So this raisin part called as hump. So this hump is helping to store the fat. So whenever the fat digests, it releases the liquid substance, and the camel, the fat which is digested, the fat which is stored in its hump can get digested and release the water for camel for its survival. How much water is needed, that much amount of water it gets. So these are some adaptations where the camel shows to live in desert areas. And now we will see the plants, how the plants are able to live in desert areas and what type of adaptations plants are showing. And the plants which live in the desert areas are mostly cactus plants. These are the different cactus pictures. And here what you are seeing, the green color part, it's looking like a leaf, but actually it's not the leaf. It's a stem part. The leaves are modified into like spines. So these spines are their leaves. Why they are modified into like spines? Because transpiration process you learnt in last class. The excess amount of water comes out from the leaves through stomata. So if the leaf is big, transpiration process will become more. So to reduce the transpiration process, their leaves are modified into like spines. Then when they are in spine form, their color is changing. They changed into brown color. Then how do they perform the photosynthesis? They are not having the chlorophyll pigment. Then here the stem is performing the photosynthesis process. Stem is preparing the food for plant. Because the stem is having chlorophyll pigment, that's why it looks green in color. They are changing, their duties are changing here. To reduce the loss of water, because you know desert means the rainfall is very less. So whatever the rainfall in, that should be stored, and their roots are very deep. They grow deep into the soil to collect the water, because the water is very low in earth. In layers of earth, the water will be very low. So to collect that water, their roots grow deep into the sand. And the other one is to reduce the transpiration process, their leaves are modified into like spines. And the third adaptation is the stem is performing the photosynthesis instead of leaves. And the fourth character they are showing, fourth adaptation they are showing it as their stem is having a waxy coating to stop the loss of water and to store the water. The stem is also storing water, and to stop the losing of water they are having a waxy coating on its stem areas. So these are the modifications or adaptations cactus plants show. That's why they are able to live in desert areas. So one is their leaves are modified into like spines to reduce the transpiration process. And the second one is the stem is performing the photosynthesis process. And the third one is their stem has a waxy coating to reduce the loss of water. And fourth adaptation is their roots grow deep into the soil to absorb the water. Understood, children? So adaptation meaning according to the surroundings, they'll change their characters. Depending on their environment, they'll change the character. Because they are changing characters, they are adapting themselves. That's why they are surviving on planet Earth. Otherwise, they couldn't. This species might have gone from planet Earth. Till now we are able to see these species means they are adopting the new futures, the new characters they are adopting. That's why they are able to live in adverse conditions also. Adverse condition means the climate is very hot, very dry conditions and rainfall is less. So these all are the adverse effects, adverse conditions in desert areas. Even though the plants are surviving there. When you see the other animal which lives in desert areas, that is jackrabbit. So this jackrabbit have very large ears and their fur color will merges in the surroundings. In first class I told you camouflage. Camouflage means their color will merge in the surrounding. They merges in the surroundings so that no predator can see them. They can escape from the predators. That adaptation this jackrabbit is showing which lives in the desert areas. On the ears you can see very big ears they have. So the blood vessels which are present in their ears make it cool. They make the blood cool and then they will return into the body so that it can keep the body cool. Even in hot conditions also they'll be having cool temperature because of the blood vessels present in their ears. The big blood vessels which are present in their ears helping them to cool their body. So that is one of the adaptation they are showing jackrabbits and able to survive in the desert areas. And next one is this picture. Most of the animals which live in the desert areas are nocturnal animals. Nocturnal means which live in the night time, which can come out in the night time to feed themselves. For their feeding purpose, they'll move only night time. Such animals are called nocturnals. So most of the animals are nocturnal in the desert areas because the reason is daytime temperature will be very high and midday the temperatures to avoid they'll come in the evenings and night times when the weather is cool. And most of them live in the burrows and they'll dig the holes in the ground and daytime most of them will take the shelter, will hide in their burrows and holes because inside the ground it will be cool. So to avoid the heat of the sun, daytime they will not come out and they live in the holes or burrows which keeps them cool. And one more thing is they are nocturnal, they live in holes. Very less fur they have on their bodies because due to dry conditions. And one more organism you can see here, that is kangaroo rat. So this kangaroo rat also lives in desert areas. So how it is adapting the temperature or the conditions in the desert means it will pass the urine in solid form, not in the liquid form. So when it pass the urine in solid form, the wastage of water gets reduced. So as like other animals, it will not waste the water by passing the urine. So these are the adaptations shown by some animals which live in the desert areas. Understood, children? So in our coming class, we'll discuss about grassland habitats and mountain habitats and aquatic habitats. What type of animals live in these areas and what adaptations they are showing in detail we are going to discuss in coming class. So in today's class, you understood about that adaptations which shown in desert areas and what type of animals live in these areas and what adaptations they are showing, you understood very clearly. And your today's homework is write the adaptations shown by camel and write the adaptations shown by cactus plants. At least 5 points you write about each organism, and you also draw the diagram of cactus and the desert. Okay children, thank you.